Hey guys, welcome back to the Psalms to God YouTube channel. I'm really sorry about the lighting. I'm not in my usual recording spot, if you can tell. I am doing this on my lunch break, and so I didn't have time to reset up my computer and get everything all set up. So hopefully this is okay. If not, I'll have to redo this later, and you guys will never see this that I'm saying. Anyway, I wanted to come on really quick and give you guys just a little bit of my thoughts. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and it kind of formulated in my mind as something that I could verbalize. So I wanted to try to record it while the thought was there. I don't know if you guys have experienced that. Like, you got to get it out while it's there. So there is a lot going on in the dating world in general. If you are single and you are trying to not be single and you have heard, people speak on dating, there are a lot of opinions. The saying, opinions are like buttholes, everyone has one, right? That is true. And you will hear things from over here and things from over there. And to be quite honest, people say things as though they are just absolute fact truth. But really, everyone is speaking on their experience, and they're also speaking from a majority standpoint. So if you hear a guy say men want this, they're really meaning like majority of men or majority of men that they've spoken to or in their experience. There is no one size fits all for anything. And that's really the big thing that I wanted to talk about. So when I was growing up, my parents, specifically my dad, he was a major advocate of two things. And my mom agreed with him. So, this is how they raised me. There are two concepts. The first is in life, you have choices, and you have to live with the outcome of whatever choice it is that you made. The second thing is that there is right and there is reality. Sometimes these things overlap and sometimes they do not. Sometimes what is right is not what is reality. And this is where these two things come together, why it's important, and how it relates to dating. I'm going to give you guys an example. Imagine you're in the city, you're walking down the road, you're on a sidewalk, and you come to a crosswalk. You press the little button to walk across the street, and the little light lights up, and there's the little white, the little silver looking man saying that you have the right of way to walk across the street. It is right that you walk across the street. You have the right of way. You are well within your rights to take your foot off the sidewalk and step into the highway and be on your way. Now, as you start to walk into the highway, you look out of the corner of your eye and see that there is a car coming. It is barreling towards you. It's not braking, it's not slowing down. It's probably not going to stop. They are not paying attention to the fact that you have the right of way. They are wrong. But reality is they probably not going to stop. Okay? Reality is you can step out into the highway and you're probably going to get hit and you could die. And then you will be dead right. But you will be dead. Or you'll be paralyzed. Now, there's also a small possibility that you only get minorly injured and you take them to court and you become a millionaire because you sued them. It's also a possibility. I'm just saying. There's a broad spectrum of possibilities. But the worst case scenario is that you could end up dead. But you could just stay on the sidewalk because you see the car coming. And reality is it's not going to stop. So even though it is right for you to walk across, you have that right. Perhaps you should yield that right. You have the choice to yield that right and to stay on the sidewalk and not get hit and not get run over. It's up to you. You have a choice. Your choice is to step out into the highway and be right, or to stay on the sidewalk and live. And whatever you choose to do, you face the consequences of those choices. Now, me personally, I would stay on the sidewalk. You might be in a rush. You might risk it and go. It's not about whether that's right or wrong. It's about you understanding that there are consequences and knowing when you make that action, what those consequences are and being prepared to deal with those consequences in the aftermath. The same thing is true when we look at dating, whether it's old-timey dating, whether it's modern dating. The fact of the matter is, there are some things that people say that I hear that realistically speaking may be true. They may be true. In sense of, this may be what's actually happening. This may be what's actually going in the minds of our male counterparts. May be true. I may not agree with it. I may not think it's right. Some of those things, I may die on that hill. I may be like, I refuse. I refuse to compromise to that. I refuse to be that, or I refuse to do that. And in that regard, that may mean that you're going to be single forever. Or you may say to yourself, it is more important that I get a husband, so I'm going to compromise this to be that, because that's what they want. It's really all about what you choose to do. Now, there are also some things that maybe it's a not all situation. Maybe majority of the guys think this, whatever this is, but the one for you is over here thinking that, and you don't need to compromise into this. Maybe not. I don't know. I am not omniscient. I am not omnipresent. I don't know. I'm telling you this from the point of view of a woman who is 33, about to be 34, and single. So I'm telling you, like, you have to decide what is worth the compromise and what is not. I don't want to get into like a lot of detail because there's so many things that people are saying out there, and I just don't even have time to give all of that attention to be real. But I do want to try to give an example of, this whole like staying on the sidewalk versus stepping out into traffic. So one example that I would give is the concept of changing your name. There are many men who are very against women who don't want to change their last name. And so from an aspect of right and wrong, there is, morally speaking, it's a preference, right? If you want to change your name, you want to change your name. If you are a man and you want a woman who changes her name, that is a preference. It's not wrong for him to want that. However, a lot of people arguing that it's not Christian, it's not biblical, women don't know how to submit, blah, 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 off of this one concept, like, that is bizarre to me. It's kind of BS, to be honest. It's very much a cultural thing. Particularly, we have gotten it here in the United States from being colonized by the Anglo-Saxons. It is a European, specifically an Anglo-Saxon tradition. If you watch our Latina and Latino brothers and sisters, they don't do that. They don't change their last name. They take their maternal father's name. Like, they take names from their mom and they take names from their dad, and that's what becomes their name, and then they keep it. And then if I had a kid, I'd give them my dad's last name, and my husband would give them his dad's last name, and that would be their last name, right? Like, that's how it works. You don't actually change your name. And I've seen other cultures where there is no name change at all, right? Like, they just don't change names. It's a personal thing. However, this is one of the things that for me, I would not die on this hill. If I meet a guy who doesn't care one way or the other, I probably wouldn't change my name. It's a hassle. You got to pay for it. You got to you got to change all your documents, and you got to pay for all those to get changed. It's just a lot, right? I'm lazy. I ain't got time for all of that. But I also am not that super attached to my name. So if I end up meeting a guy and he's like, I really want you to change your name, fine, I'll change my name. That's not the hill that I'm willing to die on, right? That's where it's like, I'm just going to stay on the sidewalk. I'd rather have a healthy relationship with a good person than to stand there and be like, I refuse. Oh, say hi, Allie. Allie is joining us. So that's one of those examples where it's like, I have a choice and I would choose compromise in that particular situation. Now, there are other things that I've seen where people think that being feminine is being inferior. I that's really all I got from some of the things that I've heard people say, like the instance that you always have to lose, or you always have to play dumb, or you have to pretend to not know or to not understand, so that he can explain things to you, so that he can feel macho. That is the hill that I would choose to die on, right? This is where I'm like, I'm gonna walk out in traffic, and if I get hit, I get hit, right? I have a hard time with the idea of pretending to be something that I'm not for someone else's ego. And that's not to say go out and be dismissive of people or to tear people down. Because I have also seen women who just, their husband says something wrong or their boyfriend says something wrong. They're like, you're wrong, blah, blah. I'm not saying do that. That's not, I mean, men shouldn't do that to women either. You should be respectful. But if I have to pretend to be dumb to get someone's attention or to get them to like me, I'm going to have to pretend my entire life. And for me, that's just, I don't want a partner that bad. I'd rather be alone and be me than to spend my whole life pretending to be someone else just so I can have this person there. I don't want company that bad. That's my own personal thing. Now, that being said, I'm an introvert. I can spend lots of time by myself and not feel bothered by it. You may be an extrovert, or you may just be one of those women who grew up fully indoctrinated in that your value comes from having a spouse, and therefore you really want a spouse. So you may be willing to pretend to be something that you are not just to get that space, just to get that spouse. If that is true, do that. Right? And I'm not saying everybody in that situation is pretending. Some people, that's part of their personality, or that's part of their, demeanor or whatever. My whole point is you are the one who chooses what hill to die upon. Choose it wisely. It in life, you have choices and they have consequences. So the best thing to do is to weigh the consequences and to be realistic, not just think about what's right, but to think about what is reality. Realistically speaking, if you do XYZ, if you behave in XYZ manner, if you choose this or if you choose that, what will that mean for your options? What will that mean for your prospects? And can you live with that? What is more important? Is it more important to you to do this or to have that? Will having this conflict with getting that? Is it 100%? Is it percentage? And can you live with those percentages? That's the real question. That's the real thing. And for each person, that's going to be different. So I just wanted to encourage you guys to stop and think about things like that. And maybe I'll make a follow-up video that's a little less vague and that's a little bit more detailed. I don't know. But I just wanted to stop in on my lunch break and say that. So have a good Friday, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.